So you may wonder what happened on March 17th this year. For those of you who are Googling this now, I can spare you the effort and tell you that what you can Google up is like these choices. So there was St. Patrick's Day, celebrated all around the world. You know this booze-fully fueled celebration of Irish heritage. So Columbia University held 6 separate graduation ceremonies for separates based on income and race and ethnicity. Italy celebrated the Day of National Unity. But actually, if you would Google it specifically and in the Latvian context, you would see that on March 17th this year, a new law technically called the new law on residential tenancy was adopted by the Latvian parliament. It was not like celebrated as a great event. So, you know, no flowers were showered on the MPs as they walked out of the building of our Latvian parliament. But I put it to you today that actually that is a watershed moment for the Latvian real estate industry. That's March 17th, because before then we had the worst rental law in Europe. But after that date, now we have the best rental law in Europe. So what I mean by the best? So what was essentially the problem up to March 17th was, so if you are a landlord, so you are an investor in real estate, be it one apartment or multi-apartment building, an investment fund, if your tenant didn't pay the rent, you had to undertake 5 years of litigation in order to basically to solve your conflict, and to somehow to be able to use your apartment again. So, but after that's March 17th, we have a new regulation which basically says that if the tenant doesn't pay rent, the conflict is resolved in 3 months, perhaps 4 months, but it makes a world of difference if you are an investor in real estate and are looking into rental housing as an investment and development opportunity. So just to zoom out for a moment, and then we'll get back to rental law. What's going on in the real estate segment, especially focusing on residential, is that the number of apartments commissioned is growing year by year. That is good news because people want to live in better conditions and so. And actually the face of residential estate in Riga, the image of it is changing. Everybody can observe that if you visit the center of Riga or some of the suburbs, that new sort of very modern contemporary buildings are being erected. And really it is a 21st century now in the residential sector of Riga. So this is witnessed by the fact that Latvians are really very interested in purchasing new housing. So all these people that were referenced today in the conference as talents, as employees, as people who are educated and work in IT and other sectors, so they want housing. They want to purchase new housing. They want to rent new housing, and this is witnessed by the fact that basically people, young people up to 40 years of age are interested in purchasing housing, and this profile of the buyer is very much that of what was referenced in the earlier discussions today at the conference. So, but what is important to note if we look at the residential sector in Latvia from a kind of bird's eye perspective, is that there is a difference between boom and bubble. So we have a boom, but we don't have any bubble. As one Lithuanian investor told me, and he didn't intend that as a joke, so there is a real estate bubble everywhere in Europe except Riga. And that is actually good news because, for instance, if the previous bubble was fueled by cheap credit and basically these were Soviet-era apartments which were sold and resold. So you see that before the crisis, before the financial crisis, the cost per square meter in these Soviet-era apartments was twice as big as it is today. So we have 50% of the pre-crisis pricing, and this is, and you can see that this growth has been very sort of sustainable, and no bubble is there. So, but if we zoom back into the rental law, so. We did some time ago a extensive study of the Latvian population, and it was a focus on Rigans. So 16%, so 1/6 of Rigans wants to rent an apartment, or plan to rent an apartment in Riga in the next 5 years. This translates roughly into 115,000 people. If we look at this in a sort of real estate perspective, it means that if only 1 in 10 of them chooses a new rental apartment, we can invest. Well, it justifies an investment of up to 100 million euro in rental housing alone every year. And also, which was, I think, referenced in every presentation today, the growing number of foreign students in Riga. They obviously need housing too, and there is twice as many foreign students in Latvia as there are in Estonia. And there, for instance, 10 to 12,000 foreign students and only 450 units in student housing. So that is why investment funds have turned to rental housing. Investment funds like EFTA, YIT, Bonava, Pillar, SG Capital. These are companies coming from both Latvia and our Baltic comrades like Lithuania and Estonia, and also Sweden and Finland. So what is essentially important factor is that we view that the population of Riga, the Riga's metropolitan region, is stable. It is there are slight adjustments, but it is basically still leading the way in the Baltics in terms of how populated this region is, so one graph that I would really like to turn your attention to is, this is one of these rare graphs where you see Nordic countries like our Scandinavian colleagues, and you see them associated with falling rates. So they have, in terms of yields, which you can get from investment into rental properties. So it was some time ago for instance, in Stockholm or Helsinki or Malmo or Copenhagen, it was around up to 5%. Now it's more like 2-3%. So basically, it's just simply, if you invest in rental housing there, it basically just covers the growth of inflation. But what Baltics does, and also Poland, is we offer higher yields in terms of what return you can get from investing into rental housing. And since our law on residential tenancy in Riga is probably the best in Europe, Riga is clearly leading the way. So, and one graph. I like these graphs which go up. I mean, these upwards. It's kind of seem to tell you that something is going all right. So we see that the rental rates in Riga are growing. That is good news for investors, because you can expect your returns to grow, and with new rental housing coming in and quality rental housing coming in, and also with all the factors that are associated with the development of modern economy and service-based economy in Riga. So we expect those to increase in the coming years. So just to sum up, if you're thinking what factors will drive the rental housing boom in Riga, so obviously it is the new law on residential tenancy, which is a very sort of business-friendly and finally provides a clear means, agile means of conflict resolution between landlords and tenants. And Rigans want to rent apartments, so more than 100,000 people in Riga want to rent an apartment within the next 5 years. Rigans want to move out of the Soviet-era housing, which kind of makes sense. You work for a modern company, you work in a contemporary office. You would like to live in a contemporary home. We have a boom in offices and service-based economies. That's something that Eriks will report to in just in a minute. And of course, we have a growing number of international students. So, just to finish up, I wanted to bring this graph once again on the screen. Which is, I think, inspirational and says that people want to live better, and that investment in real housing is justified and a good would be a good choice. So now, if I could ask I have a question, a poll for the audience. So, if you would like, yes, if you could answer a question. So, rental housing as an investment opportunity in Riga. I sort of chose to provide only 2 possible options for an answer. So excellent or very good. So excellent is leading the way. Good. Yeah. Okay. I think you got my message, and I will be happy to moderate a discussion later today with Ines and Pēteris, and we will explore the real estate in a wider context. But for the time being, thank you.